Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So good to have you this morning. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good morning, Sati. Good morning, Demetria. Good morning, Devira. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, Letitia. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. So good to have you. So good to have you this morning. All right. So, we are talking this morning about self love from a feeling perspective. Self love from a feeling perspective. What does it look like to practice self love from a feeling perspective, right? How is it that we can be friendly when it comes to our feelings? Debbie Kokolo, good morning, my dear. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Thought about you this morning. You came to my mind, honey. Good morning. Good morning. Self love from a feeling perspective. What does it look like, right? Yesterday we asked ourselves the question, is my thinking environment friendly? Is my thinking territory friendly as it relates to growing in my self love? Is your thinking, what you meditate on, what you say to yourself, right? Your internal dialogue, is it friendly? It does it support self growing and self love, right? Or is it hostile territory? Or is it closer to friendly or closer to hostile, right? One or the other, right? Is it? Is it? It's not. And remember, we also said that it's not neutral, that our feelings are not neutral, our thinking isn't neutral. It is either moving us towards growth, increasing self love, or diminishing self love. Because even if it's stagnant, it's diminishing. Because we are to be in the process of growing. That's a part of God's economy. It's what He intended for us as His beloved, as His children, is that we would grow each day. We would increase. We would become more. We would expand. We would become better. Imagine, beloved, if we were, if science, right? If our medical doctor was still doing the same thing that they were doing 10 years ago, all of the things that we discovered in 10 years, but they decided to stop growing 10 years ago. What would that look like when you go to the doctor, right? What would it look like when we go, what we understand, before the days of penicillin, before the days of, whatever had been a medical modern discovery that we didn't understand before, antihistamines, before, do you see those kinds of things? What if they just decided they weren't going to keep growing? They weren't going to keep learning. They weren't going to keep expanding. It's not just for people in particular industries, it's for humanity, beloved. There is more of you to come. There's more of you to come. There's more of me to come. But we can stop it, right? We can stop it. We can set on it. We can whatever. And so for me, I've been put on this earth to make sure that we don't allow our thinking, our feeling, and our relationships to be the thing that stops us, right? Thinking, feeling, relationships. Now, self love can take off in lots of different ways. We could talk about self love in our money, self love in lots of things, right? My perch, if you will, my vantage point, that message that God has given me is to talk about self love, growing in self love. This gift, this amazing gift, this powerful gift, this precious gift that we give ourselves. Beloved, what is it like when you just okay with you? At the end of self love, it starts with that I'm okay with me. That's what self love is about. Ultimately, it's that we get to the point that we don't major on what went wrong. We don't major on what we are not. We don't major on what we can't do, but we major on what I am, where I can go, what I can be. I've got a sticky note on my computer that says, I must see what I can be. I must, I must see what I can be. So it doesn't mean that I don't have to fight limiting thoughts. I have to fight limiting thoughts every day. That's a part of what I do every day. I rise in the morning and I say, what an amazing day this is going to be. What incredible life do I have? What opportunities are God bringing my way that I am going to clearly see and I am going to receive and activate, move on them, receive them, and be in action with them. How incredible is it that I'm going to have amazing conversations today? Why are my family and my friend relationships so amazing, so life-giving, so I don't know, so loving, right? So rich. And so this is the thing. I ask myself the question, beloved, but then I act on that question. But then I spend days calling. Tuesdays are my days that I reach out. So I'll pick up the phone and say, I just called to say I love you. I just called to say I'm so grateful that we're sisters. I'm so called to say I'm grateful that we're brother and sister. I just called to say that you have made such a powerful impact in my life, and I'm grateful for you. Do you see? So it's not just that that's an idea, right? And so there are times, and so I'm gonna use this as an example. This doesn't really happen to me a lot. It's just because not. It's because I've done my self-love work. So say for instance, if there are times when you don't get called, when your phones don't ring, and so on and so forth, and then you get the thought, well, no one even really thinks about me. I'm not important to anyone. Well, I did this for them, and they don't even did this for me. Well, I'm asking you, where can that take you? Where can that take you? Nowhere. So, beloved, if you've got a need, when you have that need, pick up the phone and call somebody. And if you need to tell them, I really need you to call me every now and then. I know that that's not something that you might do, but can you just put it on your calendar to call me on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock and say, I was thinking about you, or say, my phone, my alarm went off. I remembered you said that you really needed this, that this is something that will help you to feel loved. And here I'm calling you. I love you. Girl, I got to go. You got to go change this baby. I got to go write this program. I got to go, do you see what I'm saying? And so, is it friendly? Is your territory friendly? Is your thinking territory friendly? Is your feeling territory friendly? Because see, this is the thing. Our thinking then downloads into our feeling. Whatever you meditate on, whatever you give energy to, whatever you focus on, that's going to generate ultimately what you end up feeling. That manifestation of those thoughts, right? I'm not gonna distinguish between emotions and feelings. I'm just gonna go to what ultimately we can recognize, which is the feeling, right? Which is the feeling. That's the more conscious thing. That's the thing that we really can deal with initially. And so your feeling, right? What it is that you feel like in the moment, beloved. And so it's so important that you understand that whatever you that you feelings. So let me, before I jump into that, let me see where I am. We've got, since I try to keep us at about 20 minutes. And so let me say good morning to everybody. Good morning, Dawn Clark. Good morning, Latosha. Latosha, girl, you are having an amazing time. I'm so inspired about your celebration of you. Latosha graduated from Ashton's counseling program. And when I say this girl is on and popping and celebrating her, yes, I am so inspired. I applaud you for celebrating you and for graduating, right? Keisha Yerby, good morning, Keisha. So good to see you. Letitia, good morning, Letitia. God's intention for us is that we would grow, that we grow and not be stagnant. Absolutely. Good morning, Tanya. Good morning. There is more of you to come. There's more of us. Yes. Good morning, sis. Good morning, Brian. Andrea, good morning, Andrea. Good morning. And Keisha, our thinking downloads into our feeling. Absolutely. And so, beloved, let me just give you a few nuggets about feelings, right? First of all, our feelings are an indicator that something is happening with us. They are not the bad kid on the block. Our feelings, and this is the definition I use, it's an inner spontaneous reaction to a person, place, thing, or situation, or our soul's response, our thinking, our emotion, our willing response to life. An inner spontaneous reaction to a person, place, thing, or situation, or our soul's response to life. To our feelings. Our feelings, beloved, they always make sense for who we are. Always. They always make sense for who we are. They always make sense, right? Now, how is it, beloved? How is it that you and I can have the exact same experience happening to us right now? Right now, we have the exact same experience, but we do not have the same feeling, right? How is that possible? How is that possible? That we can have the same experience, but not the same feeling, right? Right, Latosha, you're getting all kind of congratulations in our. They're chatting you up, right? Giving you all kinds of congratulations there. All right, all right. And so, how is it that? Because our history is different, right? And so, God gave me this equation a long time ago, and it says our history plus our current experience equals our current feelings, right? Our history plus our current experience equals our current feelings. So that's why you and I can have the exact same experience, but not the same feeling. We have the same experience. Now we can talk about that actually not being the same experience because we're not the same people. And since we're not the same people, we can't have the same experience. But I'm not trying to say that. If we just think objectively, you're standing outside and you see a tree fall. We both, if we objectively take all of the descriptors out of it, we all see the tree fall, right? We can't, that's it, period. We all see the tree fall. Good morning, Sati. Sati, you were on already. Different perspectives. Thank you. Good morning, Brenda Boris. Good morning. We all see the tree fall, correct? Okay. But we have a different interpretation. We have a different response about the tree. Now, how many of us, beloved, how many of us have not appreciated, been able to appreciate somebody else's perspective, somebody else's response, somebody else's interpretation? How many of us? I certainly have been there in my life, far less today than I used to be, far less, but I certainly have been there. As I grow in my self-love, I have so much more room for people to have interpretations that don't match mine. That's what self-love will do. Self-love will allow you, self-love will give you room to give other people permission to be where they are. Because I'm not tripping over my stuff, so I don't have to trip over your stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving myself grace that gives me permission to give you grace. When you find someone who always has an opinion about somebody else's stuff, it's saying something way more louder about them than it is about the other people. Do you see? For me, what that says is their internals is not friendly. They have an unfriendly internal environment because judgment is their go-to. Judgment is their default. Beloved, when grace is your default, when grace becomes your default, grace can only become your default when you really grow on the continuum of self-love. As you're growing on this continuum of self-love, grace becomes a default. Grace doesn't mean you get to walk over me. Grace doesn't mean I don't hold you accountable. Grace doesn't mean that we are not responsible. Grace just simply means that I go to kindness as a default. I go to love as a default. And we're going to do the business. We're going to handle what we got to handle. But I'm not going to go to the combat, to the warring. I'm not going to go to the pointing fingers and the judgment. I'm not going to go to that first, and hopefully not ever. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? And so, our love, amen, amen, amen. Letitia said, our history plus our current experience equals our current feelings. That's right. That's right. Our current experience, a current situation, it equals. Self-love will give you room to meet people where they are. Amen. It really does. It really does. As we grow in our self-love, we have a greater capacity for people's differences. If ever there's a place, beloved, if ever there is a place, right? If ever there's a place, beloved, where diversity, where this notion of diversity and inclusion, the conversation we have today, if ever there was a place, an ingredient for that, a prerequisite for that from it in an essence, in an authentic way, it's this thing called love, this thing called self-love, right? Our conversation is self-love. So if we're talking about diversity, right? Diversity training, inclusion, and those kinds of things, we don't appreciate differences when our self-love is low because we're afraid more often than not, because we're at a place of desperation more often than not, because we're narrow and we got to protect what we believe to be true more often than not when our self-love is low. But as our self-love increases, there's this radiation that occurs and we're able to be okay with me. Have you ever ran into a person, beloved, that's just okay with them? Have you ever ran into a person? And so I haven't always been here. This hasn't always been my experience. But today, more often than not, 85, I believe 90% of the time, beloved, I am able to run into difficult situations that used to would derail me, that used to would have me ready to be the girl from the east side of Detroit, that used to would have me ready to throw down, where I could just say, I honor your experience. And I'm not putting on. This isn't fake. But I've just discovered that I've got too much to give to God's universe to get caught up in somebody else's stuff. Because if somebody is all torn up on the inside and is radiating to the outside, guess what? I'm not inside of them and it doesn't have anything to do with me. It has to do with their history. Feelings are generated by our history, beloved. And so we need to deal with that stuff. We need to own it. We need to put it to bed. We need to go back to a lie we told to ourselves when we was young and realize that it was a lie, number one, and that it's not true. It wasn't true then, and it's not true now. It's not true that you are not valuable. It is not true that you are not precious. It is not true that you are limited. It is not true that you can't. It is not true that you won't ever be. It is not true that you can't fulfill your goal. It is not true that it's your fault. It is not true, beloved. Do you see what I'm saying? So oftentimes we have embraced something that is not true, and it's that thing that hinders us from being able to love ourselves today. It is that thing. So I'm going to invite you today to look at the things that are not true. There are times when we're children that we see things through our children's eyes. And if you know anything about a child's eyes, is that oftentimes they misinterpret what actually happened because they have a limited capacity to interpret what happened. All they know is what they really felt. All they know is what they felt. Now, we honored their feelings, but that feeling may have served them when they were 10. It doesn't serve them when they're 25, 35, 45, 65. It's not serving them today. It's not serving us today, beloved, to believe the lie of our childhood, to believe the misinterpretation of our childhood, and to use that as fuel and platform today for how we live our lives. So I'm going to invite you today to release yourself from the promises, the oaths, the misinterpretations, all those things that we saw as childhood, and to understand that you are amazing, that you are incredible, that you do have brilliance in you, that you do have capacity to move and go forward, that you do have the ability to achieve your dreams, that you are an answer to lots of people, beloved, not to everybody, but to lots of people. You are an answer, that you have significance to add into God's universe, that you can live in friendly territory when it comes to your emotions, to your feelings, that you can live in friendly territory, and there's a place that you start. So I'm going to invite you to get the book. I really dive into this in the self-love book. Look, I don't need any book sales. So this is not why I'm saying this, but I'm invite you to get the book because there are tools in the book. If it's not the book, then get somewhere else that helps you to release yourself from the prison of your emotions, the prison of your feelings. I'm also going to invite you into LTE. We go into LTE, go to my website, drkatherineejames.com. Click on subscription. It's $47 a month. So is that an investment? Is that a wonderful investment into you being released from limiting beliefs? from limiting thoughts, for you being released from a hostile territory of emotions, from you being released from toxic environments, that's from toxic relationships. Self-love, as you grow in your self-love, it will help you to do that. And my coaching packages, right? I have executive coaching. There's an elite and a premier package, beloved. And so where I will join you for a 3 month, a 6 month, a year's time. We either meet once a month, twice a month, or 4 times a month, where we get together and we dive deep into you. What would it be like for you to walk free? What would it be like for you to walk? I walk free. I walk free. I'm not saying that there are not moments. I have moments. I don't have episodes. That's the thing. That's the difference. Self-love allows you to have a moment of challenge, a moment, but not an episode, not a year, not a month. Not look, life is too precious to have a month in our head wondering if we're sufficient. You are sufficient. You are enough. Life is too precious, right, beloved, to be locked in our head wondering if I'm enough. If I'm enough. So, I don't know. This is what I've been put on this earth to do, to help us to be okay in our thinking, feeling. Many of us are imprisoned to our thinking, which then leads to a hostile territory in our feeling like I'm feeling sad and feeling afraid and feeling anxious and feeling limited and feeling defeated and feeling right. And so, like I said, it's not that I don't have moments of it. I just don't have episodes. I don't have episodes, meaning that I'm not stuck there for days. Look, days are too precious to be stuck in the feeling of I'm not enough, in the feeling of limitation, in the feeling of defeat, in the feeling of sadness, in the feeling of I want to go grab my feeling wheel right quick off the wall and talk about it a little bit more intelligently. It's too days are too limited, and to be stuck in feelings that don't serve us. Let me just say that you can go look up your own feelings, right? Days are too limited. Days are too precious. Every moment is too precious to be stuck in a feeling that doesn't serve us. So it doesn't mean that we won't have the feeling, but you got to have tools to work your way out of the feeling. I have tools. I've been put on this earth. They're tools. Why do I have tools? Because I had to learn this for myself. I didn't grow up with these. I didn't grow up knowing this. And I have strong volcanic reactions to things, internal volcanic reactions. Those volcanic reactions used to would disrupt, right? Disrupt in a negative way. Disrupt in a negative way. And because of that, I had to learn, beloved, I had to learn to release myself, because I would be off on the island by myself like John on the Isle of Patmos, but he was getting revelation. I was getting imprisoned, right? I was gone some I just got some correlations there. But I would be off on the island, a self-imposed prison island by myself, because I'm mad. Because they did this and they did that and da and this, that. I gave all of my power away. When you do that, you give all of your power away. Instead of today, I realize everybody doing the best that they can. Now, somebody's best could cause me my death. That's just the reality of life. So I, as people show me who they are, I believe them and I act accordingly. I don't demand that other people change to become somebody different. Oh, I'm on to the tomorrow's lesson. I see. Let me just stop right here, because that's tomorrow's lesson when we talk about relationships. All right, we get ready to close out here. All right, let's see what we talk about. Oh, we got a lot in the chat. We got a lot, so I'm not going to read it all. You go back and read it all. I'm going back and read it all because it gave me some material that I needed. I needed to get this out. Thank you guys for listening to me to help me to get this out. I've been trying to write some things down and pull some things out so I can teach this class. I've got a class coming up in February, a self-love class. It's going to be my first 3-month self-love course where we dive deep into all of these components, where we're going to look at self-love. We're going to do an assessment of your strengths, beloved. We're going to then dive into your why. We're going to then go forward, and we're going to each week come together and I think it's twice a week. Anyway, not twice a week, twice a month. Hold you accountable for your next growth, for your plan. You're going to develop your own self-love growth plan, and we're going to measure it. Systematically measure it. And what I know for sure, that if you do your work, that you will be somebody different 3 months later than you were when you started the course. Anyway, so is it for you? Is it for somebody else who you know absolutely needs to grow in their self-love? Make an appointment. We can have a consultation call, and go from there. All right, beloved, I love you so much. I appreciate your time. You are an amazing group of individual. How do I know you're amazing? Because you up at 5 a.m. You can't be anything less than amazing to be up at 5 a.m. listening to a conversation. I am honored by your commitment to you. I am honored by your showing up for each other. I am honored by the way that we love each other in this place called the 5 a.m.ers. I am honored by that, beloved. I am honored by that. Latosha, keep going and celebrating you. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'm going to use some of my time this morning to come back and look at these comments because there's some rich content in there that I'm going to teach from. So I'm going to take the last one. Wow, I used to be a volcano and ready to explode and spit fire on everybody and cause a volcano. Thank you for self-love. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And mine was internal. You didn't know I was coming. That's how mine was. Mine was lethal because you didn't know I was coming. You didn't know I had it out for you, right? And I've been since delivered. Have an amazing day. I love you for real. Go back and love you better. Thank you, Scribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for posting.